Today, we're going to talk about a diet that has a special place in my heart. Eat right for your type, because I was stupid enough to follow it myself when I was a teenager. I'm really stupid. If you remember teletext, cassette tapes, and Blockbuster Video, there's a good chance you lived through the 90s. And just like any decade, the 90s had its fair share of diet trends, one of which we're going to look at today. How's it going, guys? My name's Richie Kirwan, and today we're going to talk all about a diet that became popular in the 90s and which, luckily for us, didn't survive long after that decade. We'll talk about how it worked, what it claimed to do, and what was wrong with it. We'll also talk about what actually works for weight loss. As always, I want to point out that I'm not recommending any particular diets in this video. In fact, I'm going to be really blunt right now and tell you that I don't think you should follow any specific diet at all. You can follow sensible nutrition guidelines and eat well without putting a name on your diet. Now, with that said, let's get started. Eat Right for Your Type was written by Dr. Peter D'Adamo and published in 1996. Apparently, it has sold over 7 million copies worldwide, and it's a New York Times bestseller. This is a classic example of why you shouldn't assume that a popular book is a good book, at least when it comes to nutrition. I think I should also point out that the author is not a medical doctor. He is a naturopath, which basically is a doctor of alternative medicine. I'm just saying, if you see the prefix doctor or the suffix MD on a nutrition book, it's always worth looking in to see what type of doctor they actually are. So, the concept of the diet is that your ABO blood type influences the type of diet that you should follow. Apparently, Dr. D'Adamo got the idea for the blood type diet because certain blood types have been associated with higher risk of certain diseases. And there is genuinely some evidence for this. But remember what I've said before. Oftentimes with fad diets, people take a little bit of real science and twist it into something that it isn't. Just because there's a link between blood type and certain diseases doesn't mean there's a link between blood type and a certain diet. The ABO blood type system is based on the fact that we have different types of antigen on the surface of our blood cells and on other tissues in our body. And according to the book, these can interact with molecules from our food known as lectins. Lectins are basically proteins that we find in different foods, some of which can cause your blood cells to stick together or agglutinate, which can result in a number of health problems. At least, that's the theory. I'm not going to go into all of the different diet strategies for each of the different blood types, but I will give you a little bit of an idea of what each blood type should do according to Dr. D'Adamo's website. Type O is the most common blood type, and apparently this group fares best on intense physical exercise and animal proteins, and less well on dairy products and grains. Apparently, the leading reason for weight gain amongst type O's is the gluten found in wheat products, and to a lesser extent, lentils, corn, kidney beans, and cabbage. Type A's are more naturally suited to a vegetarian diet, high in whole grains, and foods that are fresh, pure, and organic. And they can derive significant benefit from calming, centering exercises like yoga and Tai Chi. Type B's have a robust immune system and a tolerant digestive system and tend to resist many of the severe chronic degenerative illnesses and do best with moderate physical activity requiring mental balance such as hiking, cycling, tennis and swimming. They should avoid chicken, and foods that encourage weight loss for them include green vegetables, eggs, beneficial meats, whatever that means, and low-fat dairy. Type ABs are a combination of type A and type B, obviously enough, and apparently lack enough stomach acid to metabolize meats efficiently, and the meat they do eat tends to get stored as fat. The book recommends that type AB focus on foods such as tofu, seafood, dairy and green vegetables if they are trying to lose weight. One thing that D'Adamo does is he writes a very compelling story around the evolution of different blood types, stemming from our evolutionary history in Africa and out into Asia and in Europe, and how this relates to how and why blood types evolved to work best for specific foods. It's an excellent story to read, in that it really draws you in and makes you believe that all of this is true. And that is exactly how some books become bestsellers. They may not be scientifically accurate, but they've got a great story. So much so that I have to admit that when I was a teenager, I read Eat Right for Your Type, and I was completely bought into the idea of blood type diets for a couple of months because I was a stupid teenager that didn't know any better. There are only 2 scientific studies that I'm aware of that have looked at the effect of someone's blood type on how they respond to a diet. One was a study that put everyone on a plant-based or vegan diet and then compared what happened to people with type A or type O blood. You know what they found? No difference at all. The vegan diet had the same beneficial effect in type A's, who according to the book should be on a mostly plant-based diet, and type O's, who according to the book should be eating a diet heavier in animal products and free from grains and dairy. Both blood types lost similar amount of weight, similar amounts of body fat, and lowered their cholesterol levels and improved their glucose control. Another observational study looked at what people ate and grouped people according to which of the blood type diets their diet most resembled. Then it compared that to the actual blood types of the participants. They found that the type A diet, more plant-based, lower meat consumption, was associated with lower BMI, waist circumference, blood pressure, cholesterol, triglycerides, insulin, and insulin resistance. They found that the type AB diet had similar effects, except it had no effect on waist circumference or BMI. And they found that type O diets, higher in meat and lower in grains, were associated with lower triglycerides. But the thing is, the actual blood diet of the person didn't matter. If you were a type A or a type B or a type AB, if you followed the type A diet, you would still get the benefits. If you followed the type AB diet, you would still get the benefits. Now, the important thing to remember here is that none of these studies actually looked at the effect of putting people onto a type A style diet or a type O style diet according to their blood type. To do that would be an enormous experiment. To give you an idea, you would need 4 groups, all of the same size, 1 for each blood type. And then within that blood type, you would need 4 other groups, 1 for each blood type diet. You would also need a control group. That kind of experiment would be incredibly expensive, incredibly difficult, and very time consuming to run. So it's not surprising that it's never been done before. Amazingly, there is also a systematic review of blood type diets. For anybody who doesn't know, a systematic review is when you search the scientific literature for all of the evidence you can find related to a specific scientific question. In this case, blood type, diet, and health or weight loss. And you know what they found? Using the exact words from the results section of the study, no studies that showed the health effects of ABO blood type diets were identified. In other words, there is absolutely no evidence that eating according to your blood type has any benefit on any aspect of your health or weight loss. Here's the thing. In order to follow a blood type diet, regardless of the type of diet it is, you will need to eat a lot of whole, unprocessed foods in order to make sure you're not consuming any of the foods you shouldn't be eating for your blood type. Eating fewer processed foods and eliminating entire food groups like dairy or grains or meat is an example of automatic calorie restriction. Just by doing that, you're eliminating a huge amount of calories from your diet because your food options are automatically a lot lower. It's not like you can go into a restaurant and say, "Hey, I'm type A, make me a meal suitable for my blood type, please." In reality, this is a very restrictive diet, more or less so depending on the specific blood type you are, and it has absolutely no scientific backing for its effectiveness. But if you follow any of the diets, you will lose weight because you have a lot fewer food options. The key point I want to make about fad diets like this is despite all of the different stories and all of the different explanations they give for how they work, they all cause weight loss in the exact same way. They make you eat fewer calories because they greatly limit your food options. The truth of the matter is, if you want to lose weight, the most effective way to do so is to find a way of eating that you enjoy, that you can sustain long term. Hyper-restrictive diets like this may work for a small group of people who can stick to them long term. But for the majority of people, flexibility in what you can eat without crazy food restrictions is a much better strategy for long-term weight loss success. So, I hope you found this interesting, and if you've ever tried the blood type diet, or if there are any other diets you'd like me to review, let me know in the comments below. And remember, like and subscribe to the Myprotein YouTube channel for more great evidence-based nutrition information.